If you haven't seen the previous episodes of this series, please watch them first, then continue with this video. So let's start today's video. In the beginning of the episode, we see Sahan looking at the captain of the parlor and asking him, "You said your name was Chasahayak, right? So Chasahayak, if you also want to join your owner in hell, you can attack me too." Hearing this, we see Sahahayak, who gets very nervous. Sweat starts coming from his mouth. Then, after gathering some courage, he says to Sahan, No, I don't want to attack you." After hearing Sahahayak's words, Sahan says, "Okay, then it's fine," and goes and sits on a chair. Seeing Sahan sitting there, Sahayak thinks to himself, "When this boy was not affected by the poison, I understood that there is a huge power difference between us, and on top of that, this child's arrogant behavior makes him a true monster. This boy is no less than a villain." Then we see Sahan saying to Sahayuk, "From now on, this night parlor is under my control, and I want you to cooperate with me, so that this work can be done without any fights." Then we see Sahayuk asking Sahan, "Will you spare my life?" Sahan says, "That depends on you." After hearing Sahan's words, we see Chasa Ayub, who gets very nervous and asks Sahan nervously, "What do I have to do to stay alive?" Sahan says, "Everything I tell you to do." Then we see Sahayuk's breath stopping for a moment, after hearing all this. Then he says to Sahan fearfully, "Sir, I understand." Then we see Sahan taking out a pill from his clothes, and throwing it towards Shayuk. Shayuk catches it with his hands, and holding the pill in his hand, asks Sahan, "What kind of pill is this?" Sahan says, "Fool, what else would it be? It's a poison pill. Anyway, how can I trust you so quickly?" Then we see Sahayuk, who gets very nervous, and thinks to himself, "If I don't eat this poison pill, he will kill me right now." Seeing Sahayuk getting nervous, Sahan starts looking at him. Then we see Sahayuk nervously swallowing the pill all at once. Then we see Sahan saying to Sahayuk, "The antidote to the poison you ate cannot be made even by the Ash Blood sect, so don't try to be clever." Then we see Shayuk saying, "Yes, I understand." Then we see Sahan asking Sahayuk for the keys. Seeing Sahan asking for the keys, Shayuk doesn't understand anything and asks, "Which keys?" Sahan explains, "Since an auction is held at this place, there must be a storage room where pills, resources and money are kept. I want the keys to that place." After hearing this, we see Sahahayak saying, "Yes sir," and thinking to himself, "Did this man capture this place just for money?" Then Shayuk gives the keys to Sahan and says, "Sir, here are your keys." Then Sahan picks up the keys and says to Sahayuk, "So, I'm going to the storage room. In the meantime, you clean this place properly." We see Sahahayak saying okay. We see Sahan leaving from there. Then Sahayak tells Sahan to stop and asks Sahan, "Sir, what should I call you?" In response, Sahan says, "Since I have captured this parlor, I am the leader here, so you call me leader." Then we see Sahan going towards the storage room. After Sahan leaves, Sahayak says to his soldiers, "Okay you bastards, enough acting. Now get up and clean this place." Then we see all the soldiers getting up and saying okay. In the next scene, we see Sahan wandering around in the storage room and thinking to himself, "Are these the items that are auctioned? Who buys them? Everything here is trash." Then Sahan sees something. He moves towards that thing, and it is an old tuber flower, which Sahan picks up in his hands and thinks, it's quite low level, but it's better to have something than nothing. Then Sahan starts leaving from there, and thinks, "Anyway, this old tuber flower is of no use to me, but I'll eat it." Then, in the next scene, we see Sahan's mansion, where he is meditating. Then Sahan used all Yuk asks Sahan from outside the door, "Leader, are you awake?" Sahan tells him to come inside. Seeing Sahan meditating, we see Sahayuk not saying anything. Then we see Sahan asking Sahayuk, "Amka, how many days will it take for the news of this palace owner's murder to reach the Blood Ash sect?" Sahayuk said, after hearing this, "For 2 or 3 days, Sahan says to Shayuk, "Gather all the employees of this palace and tell them whoever wants to leave can go." We see Shayuk, who is very surprised, and he asks Sahan, "What does this mean?" and thinks to himself, if he wants to free everyone, why did he seize this place? Then Sahan says to Shayuk, "Send all those employees away with 10 times their salary." Hearing this, Shayuk is shocked and says, 10 times? If we want to give them such high salaries, we will have to use the money from the Ash Blood sect. Hearing this, Sahan says, "Oh, so the Ash Blood sect's money?" Shayuk says yes. Sahan laughs and says, "This is even better. Send them away with 20 times their salary." Shayuk is confused by Sahan's words. The next scene shows us the outside of the palace, where all the employees are happy and preparing to leave, saying to each other, "Hurry up, brothers." Sahan is standing above, listening to them. Then Sahan asks Shayuk, "Did you do everything I told you to do?" Shayuk replies, "As you said, I sent my subordinates to protect them until they reach a safe place. I did exactly that, and I think one of these employees might be the spy for the Ash Blood sect who will report to them." Sahan says, "I think so too." Then we see Shayuk reply, who is thinking to himself, "It seems like this guy is waiting for the Ash Blood sect to come, as if he wants to take revenge on them. But why? And why did he ask about the sword dancing group while killing the palace owner?" After thinking so much, Shayuk asks Sahan, "Leader, why are you doing all this? Do these things relate to the sword dancing group?" Hearing the name of the sword dancing group from Shayuk, Sahan gets angry and asks, "How do you know all this?" Then we see Shayuk Rook, who nervously says, "Leader, I heard you asking the old owner about the sword dancing group before killing him." We see Sahan, who calms down after hearing this and says, "Yes, you are right. I grew up in the sword dancing group." Then we see Shayuk, who says, "Oh, so that was the reason." Then we see Sahan, who says, "The Ash Blood sect snatched this place from the sword dancing group and built the night palace here." Then we see Shayuk, who thinks to himself, so this is the real reason for his coming here. He wants to take revenge on the Ash Blood sect. Then we see Shayuk asking Sahan, "Leader, how many men do you have with you? And how powerful are they?" Sahan replies, "No, I am completely alone, and I have no one with me. Hearing Sahan's reply, we see Shayuk, who makes a strange face and thinks, is this guy crazy? He's talking about fighting the entire sect alone. Yes, I admit he defeated me and the palace owner alone, but that's a whole sect with hundreds of people. I can't believe how he can even think like that. Then Shayuk says to Sehen, leader, you're seriously underestimating the Ash Blood sect. Let me tell you their history. The assistant explains, the sect has 4 brothers, 3 martial halls, 2 merchant associations, and 2 escort establishments, and finally, hundreds of guards under those 4 brothers. Then we see Sehan, who says, okay, a few hundred people. I don't need to kill hundreds. It's a small sect. I only need to kill their 4 leaders. Then we see Sayok, who thinks, is this guy still underestimating those 4 leaders? If I stay with him, I'll die soon. Then, Sehan calls Sayok. Sayok responds, yes sir. Sehan tells the assistant, once your subordinates return, you can leave. The assistant is confused and worried. He asks Sehan, are you serious? Sehan says, yes of course. And take some money with you when you go. Then we see the assistant, who says nothing. He remembers, that bastard poisoned me. The assistant's face turns red with anger, and he thinks, he's trying to send me away without the antidote. Then we see Sehan, who says to the assistant, why don't you look happy? The assistant says, I need the antidote. Then we see Sehan, who says, oh I forgot. After Sehan's response, the assistant is devastated and angry. He thinks, how could he forget after poisoning me? In the next scene, we see Sehan take out 2 pills and show them to the assistant. After seeing the pills, the assistant thinks, finally, I'll get rid of this poison, and quickly swallows both pills, taking a sigh of relief. Then we see Sehan looking at him strangely. Then we see Sayu, who asks Sehan, why are you looking at him like that? Then we see Sehan, who says to the assistant, do you know what you just ate? Then we see the assistant, who says, yes, the antidote. You said so. Sehan says, you idiot. When did I say that? Then we see the assistant, who is very nervous. He asks Sehan, then what did I eat? Sehan says innocently, poison. The assistant yells and angrily asks Sehan, why did you poison me again? Sehan says, I was just showing you what real poison looks like. The poison I gave you earlier was fake. Sayu is speechless. Then we see Sehan, who says to Sayu, you look over 40 and seem like a good martial artist, but you're a moron. Then we see the assistant, who is very angry and thinks, I did so much for this bastard, and he tricked me with fake poison. Then he gave me real poison when I asked for the antidote. This guy is a real villain. So guys, that's the end of the video. Thanks for all your support. Bye.